Hello everyone, and welcome to the first and only Storytime with SuicidalGrind. This time with a original written by SuicidalGrind himself in late 2019 or early 2020. This one is called Unbalanced Brutal Breakfast. And without further ado, I will now read you this story. It was a cold and dark night. No one was there to be seen on the streets. It was completely empty, like there was some sort of apocalypse going on. There was only two people outside, a mother and her newborn child who was just taking a walk. Only thinking it's an innocent night, she wanders to their home with her child, thinking everything is just another normal day. But then, a loud bang occurs, right across the mom's head. Everything goes pitch black, and the mother, along with her child, is taken somewhere. The mother wakes up and realizes she's in some dark cave dungeon. Immediately, she decides to not look if she's stuck to anything, but look around the room if there's anyone else. She doesn't see her child and gets very concerned. She very quickly then realizes that she's strapped to a chair with some very strong rope. It would take hours to cut through it with a knife, even if she found one. So she has no option but to wait for what's to happen next. Because it's too early to react very heavily. She's very confused and has no clue whatsoever to where she is or why she's there. In other words, Darren had like stick in the mouth. After a while, she hears a very low-pitched grunt from the other room, and immediately gets goosebumps all over her body from it. Unaware of what's in there, she remains silent, and she doesn't make a single noise, because whatever is in there, she wants nothing to do with it. After a minute has passed, she hears the screams of a child, almost as if it was being tortured to death. But she doesn't make a noise even then. In this situation, it's between life or death. So she has to do anything she can to get out of here in one piece. She looks at a table that's close to the wall on the right of her, or to the right of her, and sees a plate, a fork, a glass filled with what seems to be a regular whiskey, and a party hat. Keep in mind, this was written before the author could drink, most likely. Already seeing that she wants to puzzle, she starts to puzzle the pieces together, realizing that something has to be off here. After about 5 minutes, the big wall of noise stops, and there's no more screaming, grunting, or fire-like sound. So patiently, the mother waits for something to happen. Curious and confused, she said the first words since coming there. "Hello? Is anyone there?" To which she instantly heard some sort of confused grunt, as if someone had just heard her. Well, as if someone had just heard someone unexpected speak. A hatch in the metal door opens into the room, there is a hatch and a metal door opens, and into the room, two glowing white eyes stare, and instantly the hatch shuts again with a disappointing grunt. And from the creature, the door opens, and after a while comes in a big, nasty, smelly, dark monster. It places some form of serving tray onto the table, which it then opens and takes food from, and places it onto the table. And then he takes a thermos and pours something that looks like similar red wine into the wine glass. Now, apparently there was whiskey before, but now there's wine. Keep in mind, written in 2019 most likely. Oh yeah, actually this was written in 2019. 100%. Red wine. He takes out a piece of paper and puts it onto the table, unties the mother, then leaves the room and locks the door. He goes to the table and reads the paper, which reads, "I hereby announce to you that you have been taken away from your average daily life, and you have been put here up to a test that will wreck your nerves and will leave you scarred forever. You may wonder by this moment in time where your beloved child has went, and to put it bluntly, on the plate in front of you is where the child is now." Absolutely gruesome, isn't it? Well, if you value your life at all, and you want to get out of here, then you will do as following. You'll have to take the tools you've been given and proceed to digest the meat of your child that's been cooked over a burning fire. And you'll also drink from the glass the blood of your child as a sacrifice to the fallen angel. That's a try-hard line right there. If you complete that task, you'll be freed. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be given an opportunity to wind back time. But if you fail, well, then I've set up a trap that will pull your limbs apart and crush your insides. So make up your mind before it is too late. We have 30 minutes to decide. Unable to digest what she just read, she instantly started thinking of what to decide on. Well, not that she has much of an option anyway. She realizes finally, after the following 30 minutes have passed, that by then she has to know what she's going to do. Essentially, it's time to pick or choose. It's basically life or death. She thinks really hard about what she's about to do. Because at this point, it is either her life ending or her committing the act of cannibalism on her own child. After 10 minutes have passed, she starts to think about the possibilities of the situation. First possibility she thinks about is refusing it and attempting to escape through the door. Hence the fact the beast is big and kind of slow, while she is much smaller yet much faster. But even then, that is almost too risky. After only chance, as the only chance is while the beast walks through the door, which means she has to somehow hide at the wall to the right of the door and sneak by. And Even then, she had no idea whatsoever what the place outside, what the room looks like. So then, there is only one option that ends in her living. Eating her child, or what's left of it, that is. An act of doing something that really gives her shivers down her spine, as it is something so unholy and not morally correct that she'd never be able to erase that from her memory. After 20 minutes, she asks herself whether she really cares about her life now that her dead child more. She asks whether she cares about her life or what now is her dead child more. But eventually she realizes that no matter if she does it or not, her child's meat is going to have the same outcome. That does not really matter, however, because in this situation it's either live or die. So she asks herself the question one more time, but this time more bluntly. Does she want to live or die? Although the first time she was very opposed to doing the act. She doesn't want to have it all end just like that because of some stupid monster. So she swallows a big hunk of pride and gives in to the monster's idea. After 30 minutes have passed, the monster comes back in and then closes the door behind itself and stands there waiting for a result. The mother sits on the chair in front of the table and grabs the kitchen cutlery. She sticks the fork inside the meat and uses the knife to cut a slice of it. She has a hard time getting through with it, but eventually after 30 seconds, she puts the first piece of meat using her fork inside of her mouth and starts eating the meat of her child. Sorry, I'm a little sleepy today. She hates to admit it, but it actually tastes quite good, like pork. But then she realizes again that she has to drink the blood of her child as well. And almost immediately she feels like she wouldn't be able to do that because unlike the meat, the blood probably doesn't taste as good in comparison. She eventually decides just to drink it home for the best. It would also be important to know that she doesn't know the taste of blood, as she's always stayed away from it as much as possible. She realizes this isn't nearly as bad as she thought. Maybe it could even be argued it tastes more on the good side than not. A little salty and the metallic taste to it there is. Kind of like if you drank water and put salt with tiny bits of steel and steel dust in there. So I guess I don't know, steel dust, whatever the fuck, hoagie. She goes in for another bite on the meat, and at this point she's fully given into it. There's no return beyond this point anyways. So she eats up the meat, drinks up all the blood. Now to be fair, she did feel quite hungry, for she hadn't eaten in a long time, hence the time she was abducted. She was on her way home to make some food. So this meal really filled her up good. And although the traumatizing of eating one's own child is there, she's somewhere inside of her feels good about it. Maybe it is because it wasn't as bad tasting as she thought. Maybe it was because she gets to be alive and the feeling of not being a victim of an unfortunate death is relieving. Then again, her child had an unfortunate death as it didn't get to experience life or build enough of a consciousness to know in life to know what happened. Yet the mother still feels somewhat relieved that it's all over. So as promised, the beast opened the door and leads her out of the dungeon. It was also kind enough to show her the way back home, because after this all that she went through, in a sense, the beast felt some remorse for the mother, as if it had regret part of its actions. But what's done can't be undone. Upon arriving to the mother's home, the beast says the first words that's ever spoken. "I am sorry for the trouble." I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the trouble. You had to be put through. Then disappeared into the abyss. The mother, in a sense, understands that it wasn't entirely the beast's actions and that there was some sort of overlord commanding him to do as he did. So in the end, was the beast really a bad person? That's up to you to decide. But one thing's for sure, it regretted its actions and apologized. And anything can be forgiven with an apology, right? And that, my friends, was the end of the story. And now, you will go click on the link in the description and go listen to that fucking new Shinto Prophecy album.